let's have a look at Viktor here because he's obviously a world-class player, but he's got a fairly unorthodox swing, I would say. There's still probably a couple of things that us mere mortals can pick up from it, but some funky movements in here. Viktor is one of these, new players on tour, a new breed that like to play with a closed face throughout the entire swing. So, just check out his club head and club face early into backswing. Sort of stays looking at the ball. And when he gets into this position here, it's actually quite shut relative to his spine angle here. So neutral would be those two angles sort of matching up. But yeah, Viktor likes to have the club face quite closed. And that's sort of going to continue up into backswing. We'll just draw a line where we think his hands are going to go. And that's going to sort of continue up into top of backswing. He gets into a lovely position here. So the lead arm is sitting slightly higher than the shoulder plane. The right arm is well in front of him. It's a beautiful arm structure. You'll see the club face pointing up towards the sky. So that again just means that he's got his face relatively closed, and then he's got this kind of signature position similar to Morikawa, bowed left wrist, and again that's just going to promote having a closed face. And the reason a lot of players do this on the tour these days is because it just gives them time. So they don't have to, rely on quickly releasing the club at the bottom and squaring up the face at the bottom. They're doing it as early as possible. So that means they can just close the face at the top and just rotate down onto the ball. So if you're a weekend golfer and you struggle with an open face, so let's say you hit quite a lot of slices, maybe just try on the range next time you're out to feel as though you're getting your left wrist into a bit of a bow position at the top before you start your downswing. It's going to feel like you're kind of revving a motorbike with your left wrist. Guarantee you might see some straighter ball flight. So into transition, he has this beautiful shallowing move, world class. But one of the main differences with Viktor compared to other players is other players like McIlroy will kind of work their hands down and back in this direction, whereas Viktor sort of more works it towards the ball, so it comes out, above the original hand path. I mean, he gets the shaft beautifully on plane there, doesn't he? But what you're going to see is just check out his lead arm. So it starts to come off his chest a touch. The right arm starts to come in front of him, and then he stays in posture. So he keeps his pelvis back, and the shaft works through the trail forearm. But what you're going to see in this position is, look at how much space he's got underneath his chest here. And, when you're in this position, you can literally just fire as hard as you can without any consequences. So it's an incredible position. Here, the face is in pretty neutral position. So again, he's not going to have to try and work really hard to square that face coming into impact. And he's one of these players that likes to, have this sort of bent right arm coming into impact. And it's going to stay bent all the way until sort of just after, he hits the ball, comes into the early finish. And again, I think one of the reasons for that is because, he has with the moves that he's got, he's going to want his club face is going to want to turn over. So this helps him sort of manage and stabilize the face through the impact zone, and you can just see how sort of. Yeah, I mean, there's no face rotation coming through the shot there, is there? It's almost like a bit of a hockey shot. And then what you're going to see with all passive releases like this is the hands disappear underneath the torso, so they work low and left, but you're still going to see the shaft and the club head. And it just means that, very, very stable release. And then you're going to see that club head work underneath the shoulder, and then that face pointing back at the camera. It's just beautiful, beautiful movement. And up into the finish. What's quite interesting, let's just pull this thing across and check out face on view. So, what's quite interesting with Viktor is, let's just get into here. So he does like an early shift into his right side, before he even takes the club away. So, I mean, it's quite nice. Gets the pressure and the weight on the right side. At the top here, moves off the ball quite a lot. I see sort of his center of his chest over in this position. And then at the top of the backswing, he's going to have this sort of lowering move like a lot of players, pressing into the ground. And that's just going to allow him to then create like a load of vertical forces with his legs. But the thing with Viktor is lower body move is quite interesting. Doesn't have an awful lot of lateral shift. So you normally see PGA Tour players getting half of the lead leg through the wall. But Viktor sort of, spinning the hips is a strong term. Doesn't quite spin, but doesn't have a huge lateral movement. And what you're going to see is he kind of, that left hip kind of like spins back behind him. The pelvis doesn't really extend. It stays quite flat. And what you see with this sort of movement, and I know it because this is exactly what I do in my swing, you're going to see that right foot sort of spin a little bit because you haven't sort of extended up with the hips, and then it's the upper body that's going to drag everything through. So, that's quite a unique movement. But the thing you will have definitely noticed that is unorthodox with Viktor is just that arm structure on the way through. Check out this guy's left arm. That is Jordan Spieth times 10, isn't it? Look at that into impact. I don't think I've ever seen, a right arm this bent before. It's that is really incredible. And again, one of the reasons for this is this arm position is going to prevent the face from rolling over. So a bit of an face opening quality. So maybe he just has to do that to, get the amount of stabilization on the face that he wants. Yeah, it's a really interesting move through impact, isn't it? Again, if you were to take this to your local pro, he'd probably pick this apart, but it certainly works for Viktor. And then he comes up into this wonderful release. He's a strong lad as well. He's got some power in the legs, I'll tell you. So yeah, Viktor Hovland, ladies and gentlemen, brilliant player, unique swing. If you haven't already, feel free to hit the like and subscribe button. If there's any other swings that you'd like to see, add a comment below. But I'll be back with more swing videos and swing tips very soon.